Hello, and welcome to Picture This, a podcast from the photo archives of the Albuquerque Museum. My name is Jill Hartke, and I am the digital archivist here at the museum. Today we are hopping on a train with a traveling dog and the United States Postal Service. In the photo archives of the Albuquerque Museum is a portrait of Owney the postal dog. The little dog visited Albuquerque on one of his many travels with the mail train in the late 19th century. Here's the story behind the photograph. One day in 1888, a stray dog followed a mail wagon into a post office in Albany, New York. The dog was hungry and bedraggled. The Albany postal workers could find no owner of the dog, so they adopted the friendly little red wiry-haired mutt, and they named him Owney. Over the next 9 years, that dog became the mascot of the railway mail service and traveled the world. The little dog did not immediately set out to be a world traveler. First, Owney stuck with his new family, riding in the mail wagons and sleeping on the large bags of letters and packages in the Albany post office. Eventually, he followed the bags of mail onto a mail train and took his first trip to New York City. He caught the travel bug. Soon, Owney was hitching rides in the mail cars of the railway mail service that traversed the country. When they realized Owney was now a traveling dog, the mail clerks in Albany made him a large collar with a metal engraving that listed his name and address. According to newspapers of the time, Owney went wherever he chose and was welcomed by the clerks of whichever mail train he boarded. The postal workers considered Owney a good luck charm because trains in the late 19th century were dangerous. They could derail, get robbed, or even explode. No train Owney ever rode on came to any trouble. His popularity grew, and in most towns that he visited, the mail clerks and later members of the public attached tags, coins, and tokens to Owney's collar as souvenirs of the post office mascot's travels. Around 1892, Owney came to Albuquerque on one of his trips, and someone brought him to Cobb's studio on Gold Avenue, where William and Eddie Cobb had recently set up shop. The Cobbs took Owney's portrait and wrote his name on the glass plate negative, identifying the little dog as the famous mascot of the United States Postal Service. The collar around Owney's neck can be seen already laden down with tags and keys from his adoring fans. Soon after the portrait was taken, the tokens for the dog began to weigh him down, and the United States Postmaster General John Wanamaker had a special harness made for Owney, so the weight was less of a burden for the small dog. Newspapers across the country followed the travels of Owney as he visited towns and cities in America, Mexico, and Canada. After visiting Alaska in 1895, the postmaster of Tacoma, Washington, sent Owney on a trip around the world. He traveled on a mail steamship named Victoria, from Tacoma, Washington to Yokohama, Japan, and then on to Kobe, Japan, where, upon arrival, Owney was gifted a medal by Japan's Emperor Meiji, who had spent decades building railway service across Japan and its colonies. After leaving Japan, Owney headed by train to Hong Kong, then boarded a British steamship for Shanghai, then visited Singapore, traveled through the Suez Canal in Egypt, on to Algiers, and then across the Atlantic to New York City. He hopped on a mail train from New York City and found his way back to Tacoma, Washington, all in around 133 days. At every stop, Owney was given more medals and ribbons, becoming a global celebrity. Not bad for a pup who had been bedraggled and homeless in his earlier years. Because Owney had wandered into that post office in Albany, New York, with nobody claiming him, no one really knew how old he was. But by 1897, Owney had grown slow, showed signs of illness, and began to show aggression where he had earlier shown affection. In April of 1897, the superintendent of the Chicago district of the Railway Mail Service banned Owney from traveling in the mail cars any longer. No longer could Owney snuggle up in the mail bags as he loved to do. He had to find people to travel with. He joined up with a postal clerk from St. Louis who was on his way home from a convention in San Francisco. The postal clerk saw that Owney was sick, and he took him home with the intent of keeping him in St. Louis until the dog died. Over the weeks that Owney was living with the postal clerk, the clerk noted changes in the dog's behavior, namely that Owney was trying to bite everyone and seemed confused much of the time. Despite the postal clerk's attempts to keep Owney in St. Louis, the dog turned up in Toledo, Ohio in June of 1897, where he bit a postal worker and was put down by the local sheriff. Upon news of Owney's death, mail clerks across North America raised money to preserve their mascot. Owney's body was sent to the Post Office Department headquarters in Washington, D.C., where it was stuffed and mounted for display. He was sent with his harness of coins and tags to be part of the Postal Service's display at the 1904 World's Fair, and later was transferred to the Smithsonian Institute in 1911. You can still see Owney on display, now at the National Postal Museum in Washington, D.C., where the little red dog and his collection of souvenirs are exhibited beside a railway post office train car. Thank you for joining us for Picture This with the Albuquerque Museum. Please join us next time for the story behind another photograph in the museum's collection.